Hi there. My name is Michelle Nicolo Prentice, and you're listening to Mama's Lullaby podcast, where we celebrate you and your journey to and through motherhood, the good, the hard, and the scary, giving you a place to be nurtured and mothered. You deserve it. Welcome. Hey guys, it's Michelle. Please hit that like button and be sure to subscribe so we can keep you up to date on all the latest podcasts. Hello everyone, welcome to Mama's Lullaby podcast. I'm Michelle Nicolo Prentice and you're in my kitchen with us. So welcome, take a seat, get a cup of tea or coffee and relax and enjoy this next little 25-30 minutes with my friend Jake here. Hi. So excited. This is Jake Leiske Willis, and Jake and I met, 28 years ago. Because Mark and I had just gotten married. She's from Canada, or Canada, as I like to say. And her and her sister and cousin had a group called The Farmer's Daughter, and my husband was playing on their record in Canada. And so Mark and I got married. I came down here, and 3 days later, he went to Canada.
I'm surprised you're talking to me.
He went to Canada to go work with three gorgeous women. Yeah,
3 days after you were married.
3 days. Luckily, I trusted him, and it was good. It was good to trust. But anyway, so we've kind of kept in touch over the years. And so not only is she a beautiful woman, great singer, but she also is a mom now. And she became a mom kind of later in life.
Kind of.
I can't wait to share her story with you guys because it is just one of those stories that, oh wait, I got to start over. Sorry. Or just cut. And because I didn't say what we do at Mama's Lullaby. I totally missed it. Okay.
You're just going to start from the top?
Yeah.
That'd be easier for me to just say, okay. And if you pick your cup up again, you'll have to drop it back on the table.
Sorry.
Just follow Jake's lead. She knows what she's doing.
Okay.
I thought you were talking to me.
No, I wasn't. Here we go.
Okay. Hello and welcome to Mama's Lullaby podcast. I'm Michelle Nicolo Prentice and you are in my kitchen. Welcome.
Yay.
Take a seat and get a cup of coffee or tea and relax and join us for just the next 20-30 minutes here. Mama's Lullaby is really about you. It is celebrating motherhood and the journey of motherhood, however it comes to you. In whatever stage of motherhood you're in, we think that the mothers are the bedrocks of our society and we need to support and love and nurture each other. And so that's what we're doing here at Mama's Lullaby. And so today I asked my friend Jake to come and talk with us about her story of becoming a mama. And it's a really, really cool, interesting story. So I'm really excited. But before I do that, I want to just talk a little bit about how I met Jake quickly, because I met Jake 28 years ago.
Can't believe that, actually.
I know. Mark, my husband and I had just gotten married. I was 28 at the time. And we had gotten married. I moved here to Nashville. And 3 days later, he left to go to Canada to record with her and her sister and cousins, it was called The Farmer's Daughter. And
God love you for letting him go.
That's my favorite record, these gorgeous women. I'm like, go ahead and go play for 10 days with these women. They're fabulous. And I fell in love with all three of them. They're great. But anyway, that's how we met. And then over the years, we've just kept in touch. And when I heard that she was pregnant at age what?
51.
51. You carried a baby and you delivered a baby at 51.
Out of my body.
Amazing. And that's what we're going to talk about today and all the stuff around. And then also Jake Leiske Willis does other really amazing, beautiful things for moms and children. So we want to talk about that a little bit too.
Yes, love to.
So let's begin at the beginning of your story of wanting to be a mom, or however that came about. So how did that happen?
So listen to me when I tell you that was not the plan. That was not my plan. And I was not that kind of a person who just knew in my heart of hearts that I wanted to be a mother. Angela, one of the girls of Farmer's Daughter, my sister from another mother, we're not really sisters. She always knew.
Right.
And some women just like, I was born to be a mom. I didn't have that. I love kids.
Right.
But I was more like, if this is where my life takes me, I know there's more than one right way to get through this life. And I was okay until I fell in love. And it's love. Love is what directed this whole movement here.
Okay.
Christopher Willis, I met him 35 years ago in a band in California. We were so young. We didn't know what life was, how it was going to unfold. And so we went our separate ways. And 38 years later, we got back together and, full circle moment. And then, he really wanted a child. He wanted a legacy. He wanted a family. Mm-hmm. And that's what shifted my brain.
Wow.
Getting back into that relationship with him and feeling like if we made it back to each other after all these miles and after all, he's in the music industry as well. Yeah. After all this time, then I feel like it means something. And then it just felt like the next best right thing to do. And that's when the journey began, because at that point, it was like 47 when we first started trying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was
So it took a couple of years.
Okay.
Yeah. And I didn't even know it was possible. So that was the beginning of my just not understanding my own body.
Right. So you weren't starting perimenopause or anything yet? Okay.
No, I was not. But I didn't understand that I could carry the baby. I didn't understand, we had a lot of learning to do.
Yeah.
And it that's where the journey began.
Yeah. Wow.
So love is what gets us into all kinds of situations.
That's right. And it's a good thing, because we might just sit around and be couch potatoes if we didn't have some other things to make us move. But, okay. So you think about it and you go, okay, I will do this with you.
Yes.
And so you tried naturally to do it. And
well, you know what? At that point, we realized that we were working against the clock.
Yeah.
So we made some plans. Yes, we tried naturally, but
a lot of practice is good.
Practice makes perfect. But we also went directly to a fertility specialist.
Okay.
Just, given my age, and we made a decision at that point to go with an egg donor, right away.
Okay.
We thought if it happens,
just because of the age of the eggs, or the concerns of something bad happening, or what?
So we
challenging.
Yeah, we knew what kind of experience we wanted to have, and we knew that the risks are those of the egg donor. So the age of the egg donor those are the risks that you have. I'm going to take this ring off because I keep clonking it. So we knew, if there were any rogue eggs floating around in my body, that we didn't know if that could be trusted. And so that was just a decision that we made right out of the gate. Yeah. And we went with my niece. So, but I have to say, first of all, we decided to go through the bank of the donors that our facility in New York City had. And I was like, no, because you punch in. Like, honestly, we punched in all of my qualities, my hobbies, even of course, my, Germanic Russian background, like we cloned me on paper.
Okay.
And then all these videos pop up of these women.
Wow.
And
you're like, I thought it was so unique.
Right. But there was something that didn't feel right. And, this journey is so unique to every single person.
Sure.
For me, it was just like, it's like, no, hell no. And Christopher, at one point, he's like, hey, it's going to be our baby, so you got to loosen the grip a little bit here, because otherwise no one's going to be you at this point. And then we started talking about my niece, my brother's daughter, Savannah. And I said, you know what? I really feel like if I'm going to do this and go down this path, I want to have some skin in the game. I want some of my DNA in there too. Mm-hmm. And so we approached her. We approached my brother and sister-in-law first.
Yeah. How was that conversation?
We told them what we wanted to do. And we said, look, if you guys are weirded out by this, we're not even going to go to her, because our family is so tight. And so it was just like, we want to make sure that we're cool here first. Mm-hmm. They were like ecstatic. They said, this is so exciting. So we called her, and before I was even finished my sentence, she was like, yes, Auntie.
How old was she?
She was 25.
Okay. And did she want children somewhere down the road?
You know what? TBD. She still doesn't have any children. Mm-hmm. And she's living her best life. So we'll see. Yeah, I think she does want kids, but it's definitely not even like right now in this moment. She's still just, chasing her dreams.
Okay. So. Okay. Wow. Okay. So you have the conversation, and she says yes. And then what was sort of the process? How long did it take to?
So she came down to Atlanta, moved in with us, and we started, working out together, doing meditations together, looking at our diet. It was so incredible to have her come and live with us and be a part of our family first. And then we went to New York City during Fashion Week, which made her very happy, and started the process of harvesting her eggs. And, what an amazing, crazy process. If anyone would have told me, 15 years ago, this would be my path, I would have laughed them out of town.
Yeah.
Science is beautiful and wonderful and, helped us create a family.
Yeah.
So she had to go through the process of giving herself, the injections and every day. And then when her cycle was, when she was ready to drop those eggs, we flew to New York. We were there, I think, when they harvested the eggs. I come from a farming background. So all this
harvesting the eggs.
And it was actually Thanksgiving, which was kind of funny.
My gosh.
Yeah. And we were there for about 17 days. So they had to test her every single day. Like we go in at 7:00 in the morning.
Is that a blood test?
Yes.
Okay.
And then the magic day arrived, and they're like, okay, we're going to be extracting these eggs on Thanksgiving.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. She was a little bummed about that because we found this fabulous place to have Thanksgiving. And they said, yeah, she's going to be knocked out. Well, this little girl, I tell you, she went and had the procedure done, and we're watching, and Chris and I are waiting in the waiting room. We see these women coming out, and they're helping to walk the girls out who are, doing the giving. And she busts through the door and says, okay, let's go. How much time do I have before we need to be ready for dinner? And the nurse just looked and went, oh.
Wow.
So yeah, I believe she gave us 17 eggs, which is phenomenal. They tried to recruit her to.
Okay. So I don't know if any of you know how this even works. I do not. So how do they get 17? Do they open up the ovary or?
No, they go in through the uterus. And the cervix.
Wow. So it's a pretty intense surgery in a sense.
Well, it is. It's full general anesthesia. Wow. So yeah,
and she walked out.
She walked out.
That's impressive.
Yeah, she was ready for that.
I think we need her
dinner.
on this show too.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, definitely. At some point we need her on here. So how many tries did it take for you?
Okay, so we Christopher gave his sample. They created, and we also at that point we were able to freeze her eggs, and you can either go for a fresh implantation or you can freeze them and do the transfer afterwards. And so there ended up being 7 viable eggs that were perfect. And so they were fertilized. We were able to take a sample from a cell of the outer lining of the embryo.
That is amazing.
And you can tell whether there are chromosomal issues, whether that embryo is, you can tell the sex, of course, but you can tell if they are predisposed to breast cancer. I mean, it's an amazing work. It really is.
Wow.
So then that started then she was done, and we celebrated her, and she went back to Canada, and then we started our journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 7 embryos, and that was,
wow.
It's like, all right, here we go.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like I was one of those girls that always knew I wanted to be a mom. That was just a definite. I had the name of my daughter when I was 12,
Wow.
Gabrielle. I wanted to name my daughter Gabrielle. But I do talk but Gabrielle, my daughter, did not think she wanted to have kids. And I was like, oh, I just really want to be a grandma so bad. And you're going to, down the road, you're going to wish you had one. And then just one day, like 34, something like that, she just went, I think I need to have a baby. Oh no, I think I need to have a baby. It was just kind of weird. So it happens sometimes a little bit later. Definitely a little bit later. But all right. So then they do the implant. How many times do you have to do that before it actually?
So, Chris and I were very type A kind of human beings. So we're just like, we're going to pay our money. I'm going to take my shots. We're going to have a baby.
Okay.
And, just never occurred to us that it doesn't always happen that way.
Okay. So they didn't prepare you for that?
Yeah, they did. But
you're like, that's for other people.
You don't.
Not us.
Yeah, you don't listen. And people love to tell you stories. I can't tell you how many people told us stories like, oh, yeah, some very dear friends of ours went through that whole process. Mm. Yeah. And we're like, oh, how exciting. Like, no, it didn't work for them.
Oh,
and
la la la.
Yeah, and no, wait. And also they're no longer together. Their marriage didn't survive. Oh. And we're listening going, oh, okay, that's nice.
It was really nice to talk to you. You got to go down.
And they were in financial ruin because they remortgaged their house and we're like, okay, that's enough. La la.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's hard. That's hard.
But that's your determination at that point is key, because if you, and we believe very much in mindset and the power of the subconscious mind. I believe the work that I did with my mind was equal to what was going on physically as well.
Let's talk about that for a minute. So what did you do with your mind?
So I happen to have a best friend who's worked with Bob Proctor and the power.
I love Grandpa Bob.
I know, he's the best.
He is the best.
But basically training your mind to focus so clearly on a thought that you bring it into your life. And so I was like Jack Nicholson in The Shining. I had like pages and pages. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm pregnant with our healthy full-term baby.
Yeah.
And over and over, 100 times in the morning, 100 times at night, auto-suggestion. What paradigms and thoughts and beliefs are implanted into our brains and our bodies two ways. Something very traumatic, like the Twin Towers, something like that hits you like a ton of bricks. A repetition.
Yeah.
And
it could be good repetition. It could be bad repetition.
Oh,
we do that negative thing all the time and really easily. That's
100%.
Not a problem. We have to really work at the positive stuff.
So this grew through our experience too, because it wasn't transfer 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was transfer number 6.
Wow, the last one?
No, there's one left. Yeah.
Wow. And so how did you keep your spirits up during the times of, like the first one, like, okay, well, it didn't have the first one.
Well, and that's, they give you a page and it has a picture of the embryo. I have a picture of Avalon holding her embryo going, and the first one was like, we have 7 embryos thawing, 1, 6 remaining. Well, as those numbers started to turn upside down, it was, at first, you're right. First couple were just like, it's okay. We got this, this is normal.
Yeah.
When we got to 5, they, at the center, they recommended that we start to think of other ways, and I was like, at that point, I was crazy on hormones. I was, your body goes through it. It's, it's at that point I was like, my head spun around. I'm like, I am having this baby, period.
Yeah.
And, for me, and I have to preface everything that I say about this subject by for me and in my opinion, because this is what worked for me.
Right.
Is just telling myself, this is what's going to happen. This is what I believe. So we would try something. And we also had the support of our integrative doctor, Dr. Kim. And, he's like a physician in Western medicine, but also all the Chinese medicine and the acupuncture and, invaluable source.
Yes.
With Avalon, when I was pregnant with Avalon, they check your HCG levels.
Yeah.
And mine plateaued, and they don't like to see that in the first few days. So it was 9,300 and some. They wanted it to be at least 10,000. So they said, please come back in tomorrow, because if that stagnates, it could be not viable pregnancy.
Okay.
And so I went home and I'm panicking, right? I called Dr. Kim and he's like, okay, I've been saving this, this acupuncture procedure for something just like this. So I get out there and he's like, the needles are in, and his process is crazy. The next day I went and had the blood done, and they called me from New York and they said, we don't know what happened to you overnight, but your levels are at 15,000.
Oh my gosh.
And
it
was like, so again, you supplement your care with whatever works for you, whatever you believe in, whoever you can, to create the village of people to support you. Because it is trying everything. And that the last trip that we made for that transfer that worked, Dr. Kim also said, and actually, I think Chris came up with it. He said, well, what about this flying? You know, we're flying home. We're staying for like 7 days after the transfer, but we're still getting on that plane. So my mom came with me for that last transfer, and we got on a train, took the train home, which was so much fun. And here she is. So, you know, was it that? Was it, who knows?
Yeah, who knows?
But we just tried everything. And that was the other thing, Michelle. When I went into this, and Dr. Kim says he talks about our situation a lot, because he said, there's nothing that I asked of you that you didn't say, okay, like go and sit cross-legged, you know, on fresh earth. Yeah. Like, sounds batty, but okay. Yeah. You know, there's, you try everything.
Sure. Yeah. No, I mean, if you're going to go to that expense, you're going to go to all the trouble, the physical, the emotional. Why wouldn't you do every single thing? Yeah. It doesn't make sense not to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So the sixth one took.
The sixth one. Yeah.
And so tell me about the moment you got did you do a home pregnancy test first? Or?
No. So when you have a transfer, that I think it's been a minute. I think it's like 9 days that they have to wait.
Okay. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Torture.
Those 9 days. And then you go in for the blood test in the morning, and then you wait for the phone call. 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 And it was, that day we went to SCAD-FASH. So it was a fashion exhibit, and just trying to take our minds off of not waiting for that phone to ring.
Yeah.
Nothing. And so by the end of the day, we were feeling devastated, because usually if the calls came, like we had one other pregnancy success, the second one, and then it was a miscarriage. And they called in the morning, and then all the rest were in the afternoon. And so we made up on our minds that if they called later in the day, it must be bad news. Yeah. And our girl, she was so sweet. I don't think she's there anymore. I don't think she was cut out for that work, but I would end up comforting her. She's like, hi, Jake.
God.
I don't have good news for you. I'm like, oh, honey, it's good. Hey, listen, we're going to try again. We've got, I hang up, and Chris is like, isn't it odd that you're comforting her?
Yeah.
So, so we get the phone rings, and the blood drains from your head. It's like my ears are ringing. Yeah. I answer it, and she says, "Hey, did you get your blood work done today? We haven't received anything." And we're just like, "Oh my God,
oh no!"
So they called back in about an hour. They said somebody just forgot to call it in. It's positive. But the weird thing about that is, like, we just sat there and stared at each other. It's like,
well, you had so much emotional energy that whole day,
and I think that starts that nothing in parenthood is ever what you expected to be, right? Nothing from that point on. It was just like nothing has turned out the way I had it in my brain.
Yeah, that whole thing of like, I'm going to do it this way.
Oh my gosh,
this, and I'm going to do. Now, some women do get to do that.
Yeah,
but more than not, I mean, I'm sure a lot of you out there did not get the plan you thought you were going to do, and it's a little discouraging at first, but then you just learn to roll with the punches.
Oh, and right? I have said universal apologies to every mother that I ever gave a side eye to for any reason at all. Because in the first couple of years of being a mom, I did every single thing
that you were annoyed by other moms.
I would never do that.
Well, yeah. Yeah, of course.
Oh, yeah. No.
That's the beautiful thing about saying never with disdain. You are sure to do it.
And that question, like, can you not stop your child from kicking back up?
I cannot.
The answer to that is sometimes no. And also, I stopped it 10 times before this one. So.
No, it is true. You have so much more compassion. At least I do. Since having kids, when you see a mom whose kid's just like freaking out at the grocery store, and she's just walking, dragging the kids, like, just going to freak out. I'm just going to get done what I need to get done and get in the car. Yeah. Otherwise you're beating your kid in Walmart, and that's not good either.
Yeah.
It doesn't help. They're just going to scream more.
Bad idea.
Not beating, but although I have seen some people beat their kids in Walmart.
Man.
Anyways, I digress. Okay. So let's talk about how was the pregnancy. And
so the first trimester, I bled every single day.
Oh no.
Every single day.
Oh my
and this
gosh.
is something that no one mentioned to me. A mom, one of the moms that I was friends with said, don't worry. When you go through this process, all the medication that you're taking is, especially for someone who's, older.
And you were 50 or
that-
51?
51 when I delivered her.
Oh, when you were 50 when you got pregnant?
Yeah.
Okay.
And, so they have to build that lining up.
Mm.
So it's natural that it's going to need to come out little by little. But of course, if you're pregnant and you see one little iota, little spot of blood, it's just like
so
the
scary.
Sky is falling.
Yep.
So those first 3 months were just like, I was just holding my breath,
Oh my gosh.
guided meditations, what I learned, and, I think probably it taking all of that time to get and stay pregnant prepared me to understand motherhood a little bit more, because it taught me to take a breath, take control of my situation, however that works. For me, the guided meditations, I put it on my ears and I would lay on my bed and I would, the chakra cleansing and stuff like that. It kept me alive. And I think her too, and then after that first trimester, it was golden. I was so happy. That belly was just like, I've never felt, I hear all these women say this my whole life. It's like, I never felt so beautiful. I'm like, all right. I never felt so beautiful.
I love it. It is true. It's like having this life. First of all, it's just a miracle, period. Life is a miracle that it can even happen. I have chills just even talking. But then that you can take someone else's egg and someone else's and your husband's sperm and put them together and put them in you. It's just like, what? It's just amazing.
And it's not for everyone. And it's not for everyone to involve a family member.
Right. No, for sure. That could have turned out really bad.
Well,
too.
We had to go through a lot of counseling.
Okay.
Savannah had to go through counseling. We went through counseling.
Yeah.
We went through counseling together to really establish what the rules, what the, what the expectations are. Because it has turned out disastrous for some people.
I'm sure. I can't imagine myself. Like I remember thinking about my sister who couldn't get pregnant. And at one point when I was younger, I thought, if I could, I would maybe give her one of my eggs, if I could. But then I thought, how would I feel looking at that's my child? It would be really challenging for me. Well, so kudos to your niece. Amazing.
And we, then you start putting relationships on it. Like, so it's my brother and sister-in-law's daughter's egg. Does that
make it their grandchild?
Yeah. So, and that's the first thing they say is you take relationship out of it. This is a piece of human tissue. This is like a donation of a part of a liver. This is blood. This is not a baby. This is not your baby. You are not the mother. Like the terms, you are not the mother. And all of that was discussed.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So you felt great, and then comes time for delivery.
Yes.
How was that for you, girl?
We had a doula, again, with the planning and the pink cardstock for the nurse's station so that it would stand out among all of the other, not one flippin' thing happened except for taking her home. I was ready for my yoga. I had my doula there. We were just all, I had preeclampsia.
Oh.
So I went in and my blood pressure was like through the roof. I think it was like 106. It was crazy, 160, something like that. And the doctor said, we're going to check you in. And I said, if I do a yin yoga, I can bring, and he just had it with me in my freaking yoga. He's like, look, lady, this can go bad in a New York minute. So we're putting you in the hospital. I said, well, when are you discharging me? Because we had lunch.
I have plans.
Houston's, and that's what we were planning to do after this. And so he said, no, you'll come out when the baby's born. So she was a month early.
Oh my gosh.
And they induced her.
Okay.
Because every time I had a contraction, her heart rate plummeted.
Okay.
And it was coming up slower and slower. They're like, this is not feeling good. And we're not in an emergency situation right now. So again, with the choices, it's like, I wanted it to be a certain way.
Right.
And my doula was there to, hold space for the fact that we wanted a natural delivery. But even she said, you're getting good medical advice.
Mm-hmm.
And so we, within 10 minutes, decided we were going to have a C-section.
Okay.
And we got a little Oscar Peterson, and felt like it should have been martinis in there with us. It was such a cool environment.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good.
And it was a beautiful birth. Again, there's more than one right way to do this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Your choices and your preferences, they can exist, but however it comes down the pipe is your way and your story.
Exactly.
It was beautiful.
Oh, and then I feel like having the attitude of however it happens is the right way. Because I felt like I had C-sections, all my kids.
Mm-hmm.
Gabby, my first daughter, was breech, and I had planned to be the natural mama too, all that stuff. And then they said, well, she's breech, and do you want to try and deliver breech? I was like, oh, no, I do not. And after I had her, I felt like I was not a woman. I felt like I didn't do it right. Like I couldn't do it because I had just been in the delivery with my friend. Actually, it was my I do daughter's mom.
Oh,
so my first husband's ex, prior mother of his child. And it was her second baby with her marriage. And I was taking pictures for her, and she had the baby like nothing. And I was like, great. And they had forceps, but as soon as they put the forceps in, the baby came out in seconds. So when I was in delivery, I was pushing with my second child. And then something went wrong. His heart rate started plummeting, and they just had to wheel me in immediately. And I was like, I can't do this. I just can't do it with my first one. I can't do it with my second one. I just can't do it. But, I came to peace with that, saying, what was the goal was to get a healthy baby out, a live, healthy baby, and a live, healthy mama. And that's, and so you just make
exactly. One of my favorite parts though is, my doula is just like really earthy, beautiful, and
of course
we're heading out. She's like, wait. And I said, what? She goes, your lipstick. She said, I never see you without your lipstick. And she came running over. And now we look back at the photographs. She goes, you're going to thank me. And we look back and people are like, you have like really bright lipstick on. And I'm like, it's my doula.
Just like the movies. Just like, so Jake did have like the movies. Yeah, I did not have lipstick on. I looked a mess, but
there was also one really incredible moment. So they took the baby. Chris was not letting that baby out of his sight.
Good.
He's
good.
And so he went with the baby. They took me to, fix me up. And when they brought the baby in, my body was shaking, like convulsing, shaking, like just really, it was teeth chattering. And I couldn't stop it. They put her on my chest, and it was just like,
oh, wow.
It just stopped.
What do you think that was?
So apparently with C-section, the body is not giving all the messages to the brain. So when the baby comes out and all the fluid comes out and all of that happens, the brain is like, we've given birth. When you have a C-section, the brain says, someone stole our baby, like a kidnapping. And you go into a certain kind of shock when that baby is back and your hearts are beating together. It was just like, it wasn't like a slight calming down. It was just like, it just stopped.
Wow.
Yeah.
I've never heard of that. I had that shaking when I was in labor with Johnny. And before I had him, I was like, I couldn't stop shaking for some weird reason. I don't know what that was, but yeah, that's a weird feeling. But to have it stop just as soon as they put her on your chest, that's so cool.
It might be that it's a really traumatic experience, that whole birthing thing. Nobody tells you that either way. Again, with Dr. Kim, he's like, people die all the time.
Oh my God.
Doing this. Are you sure you want to do this?
Don't talk about it.
I'm like, yes, of course I do. And then it was like every week, it's like, Chris, there are 5 different horrible things this week that could happen to me and this baby.
Yeah.
But you don't let your mind go there. You keep your mind on the end result.
That's right.
What do you want?
That's right.
Well,
I mean, we walk out our door and a million bad things could happen.
You
You cannot live in that space. If you do, you'll be miserable your whole life.
Yeah.
So, how do you, if there's a mama out there or a woman who hasn't been able to get pregnant or anything yet, and is really struggling sort of with this idea of maybe trying something like that, what would be maybe the thing, like, if I'd have known this then, this would have made it a little easier. It sounds like you had a pretty good group of people giving you advice, but is there something that might be helpful to someone out there?
First of all, listen to your heart and your brain and get really clear about your why and what you want. They gave us 5% chance. 5%. And Chris looked at me when we left the office and he said, 5%, yay, it's not 0.
So you're saying there's a chance.
So that's the first thing.
Yeah.
And then be open to finding people who you resonate with. For some people, the integrative doctor may or may not be your bag. Meditating, journaling, that kind of thing. Find the things that resonate with you. Surround yourself. You don't have to know everything. Right. That was the other thing. Like I was like, I'd be researching till wee hours. And when we got our team in place, it's like, I don't have to do that. I still did a little bit until Christopher banned me from the computer. It's like, stay away, woman. It's too late. You can't turn back.
There's also horrible things that you see on the internet. So you don't want to be, looking on the internet.
You find the people that you trust and you believe that you are getting the best care possible for you. And you trust that and you keep trusting that. But you still take control of what you want to have happen. So with our miscarriage, I had an ultrasound because I started bleeding. Nobody told me it's okay. It's natural for you to bleed. They just wanted to do an ultrasound right away. We didn't consult with Dr. Kim. We just went, we panicked and we went in. The next day I miscarried. The baby was fine when I went in for this, but the sound, an ultrasound is sound waves. It's like a freight train.
Oh,
so
I didn't think about that.
We don't know. So then, when we got pregnant with Avalon, we said no ultrasounds till the end of the first trimester. And they were like, what? Who doesn't want an ultrasound? Who doesn't want to hear the heartbeat? Who doesn't want to see the baby? And we said, no, nothing till the first trimester is over. And then we'll do it. And you can say these kinds of things.
Yes. Well, I think that's part of it is when you get into the hospital or with your doctor, you have a right. You are the patient, the client, they work for you, right? And you have a right to ask for what you want or to say no. You have the right to
feel pressured to do things because it's the way it's done.
That's right.
And, again, she's here. And that was the time that we didn't go for the ultrasound.
Yeah.
So is it?
Yeah. I mean, you'll never really know.
That's right.
But you trusted your gut and that's
absolutely
really important. Amy, the podcast we did with Amy Grant she talked about trusting your gut and following that voice because, I think we as women a lot of the times can question ourselves because I don't know why we do it so much. Some people, they're naturally like, I trust my gut, I do it. But most of us aren't naturally that way. You have to practice it. And
absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then trust that decision going forward. Don't look back and start questioning because, you can drive yourself bonkers.
Indeed. Okay. So you have the baby and then something really fun happened to you, didn't it?
What part? Lots of fun things happened.
Well, you told me on the phone one day when I was talking to you, you said, oh yeah. After I had the baby, I went into full menopause.
Oh, that
silly thing.
Yeah. I had menopause and postpartum at the same time, which, my doctor said 2 birds kind of thing. Because a lot of the symptoms are the same.
Are they?
Yeah. So, the baby comes out of your body and has been sharing every good thing that lives inside you and then takes it all out and you're left going, I have no vitamins and minerals and like I'm empty and I'm going to breastfeed. That was another thing they said, probably won't be able to breastfeed because of your age. And I was like, no, I'm going to do that for sure because I really want to do that. And again, for us, we were really determined and it worked.
Yeah.
No shade if you don't breastfeed because,
sometimes you just can't. I mean,
exactly.
You just can't. And it's a hard thing for some women. I feel, if you couldn't breastfeed and you wanted to, that's a rough reality, but you have to let yourself up off the mat.
Well, and yeah, exactly. And where does the shame come in with this kind of thing? Because there's tons of it.
Yeah, there is. I'm hoping that maybe, and one of the things with Mama's Lullaby, I really want to hopefully impress upon ourselves is to be kind to each other because we are not in their shoes and we don't know what it must be like. And even if women just don't want to do it,
Right.
Right. It's just like,
it's okay.
There's no judgment. Like my mom didn't breastfeed me.
Me neither. Mine either.
Her mom said, don't do it. You'll be tied down. And my grandmother had 6 kids and breastfed all of them.
Mm-hmm.
But she told my mom not to. I'm like, well, great, Mom. Thanks a lot. No.
Yeah.
But it worked for her.
Yeah.
And obviously I survived.
And you do what you do to keep your child alive. That was the other thing that Dr. Kim said to me when I said, I don't want formula.
Mm-hmm.
And he just looked at me and he said, yeah, you know what? You'll do what you have to do to keep your child alive. Mm-hmm. If your child is not breastfeeding and your child needs to eat something,
mm-hmm.
you feed them formula. And guess what? They're going to be fine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So how old's Avalon now?
Avalon is 7.
Okay. 7 years old.
Yeah.
And she's absolutely gorgeous. She sings like a bird, just like her mom and dad.
She just spent yesterday in the studio with her dad.
Did she?
Creating her. She writes stuff all day long. Gosh. And not crackerdoodle stuff either. Like I'm often say to Chris, like, did you get that? Like, I think you should start recording this stuff and
get that publishing.
Oh,
no. Just kidding.
Right.
Just sort of kidding. But anyway, pay for all that stuff that's coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
That's cool. So she's writing music and how beautiful. Amazing. And your family is it's just, how is your niece with her? What is that like? Is she like cousin? Are they cousins?
Oh, they're cousins.
Okay, they're cousins.
And they are inseparable. Okay. And the genetic link, like just little things like when we watched Avalon run, and she holds this arm like this, and then the other one kind of goes like this, and all 3, myself, my brother, and my sister-in-law just looked at each other and went, "Oh my God," because it was so Savannah when she was that age. Like there are things that are not learned. Yeah, they are definitely genetic. Nature. Yeah. They're in there. Yeah, which it makes me happier, and because I love Savannah so much, I just love to see all this coming out. Of course. It's an amazing journey. I would have never guessed that this could be the way my life went. Yeah. I mean, from my little Yorkie and my apartment on the 36th floor in Toronto, and it took a left turn in a big way, but what I've learned about myself through all of this, like I think, and I mean, I'm sure you're going to join me on this, but what you learn about yourself, these babies are like mirrors to your face. I mean, I'm not saying have a child for therapy. Yeah. but it is that.
It will make you go into therapy for sure. Because, it does bring up your own stuff. You're faced with your own stuff, no matter what. And then, then when the kids grow up, then they'll be like, you're the reason I have this problem. And then you'll have to put them in therapy. And it's just how it is. Because we all have our stuff and we do the best we can with what we know. And we can only give what we have. So when we know better, we do better. Mm. But until then, just don't worry. You're going to do things that your kids are going to come back at you for. That's what therapy's for. Let them deal with that when they're adults.
This is such a good segue, though, into the gentle parenting.
Yes. So
did you do that on purpose?
I'm so good. I did it on purpose. Yes.
You are good.
No. Yeah. So you got into this other line of work besides being a beautiful singer, and tell us about that.
So this was not a plan. So I think, when you have children, you just have to be prepared to go down whatever path comes up. But I went looking for ways to be a better parent because I was not Julie Andrews. Like I thought I was going to be in my head and I was triggered. Yeah. And all of a sudden I was speaking in a tone, I was scaring her. I was, I was doing and saying all of the things that I said that I wouldn't do and say. And I thought there's got to be a better way because this now parenting, she's here and this is not feeling good. Like at the end of the day, I would just have these like horrible feelings like I'm ruining her or I'm, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened today. But not knowing what to do to turn that around.
Correct.
And I found the Jai Institute for Parenting. They're the #1 parenting group worldwide at the moment. And they teach methods of bonding and communicating and creating boundaries with core values, learning the science of the brain.
Okay. Wonderful.
So what is age appropriate for a 4-year-old and a 7-year-old and a 12-year-old? I did not know that the prefrontal cortex of our brain is not developed till between 25 and 29. So when you say, how many times do I have to tell you that this part of the brain that is all the rationalization, all the reasoning, all the memory of, oh, last time I did this or this, it's not even there.
Yeah.
So sometimes what we're asking of our kids when they're having that meltdown in Walmart is not even realistic.
Right.
They don't have the potential. Stop your crying. Can't. Don't have that part of my brain.
But nobody taught us that. We don't know that.
No.
I didn't even know that. So
and so hacks in those moments to shut that little part of the brain down that flips. When they say flip your lid, it's literally a part of the brain that flips up.
Okay.
And you see red and you go cuckoo.
Yeah.
Finding different ways to hack in. First of all, by regulating your own nervous system. No one ever taught me how to regulate my nervous system. I got really good at shoving things down and but now I've got this child and she's triggering the shit out of me. And can I say that?
Yeah, you can say that. I mean, people say
and so the first thing was, this is a parent-centric program. So it's very little about changing the behavior. When people come to me and say, I need little Johnny to stop doing this. Yeah, okay. He's going to do that. So let's talk about how you regulate your own nervous system so that you are able to stay in a place of integrity with yourself and your child, and then teaching them to regulate. For Avalon, and it's experimental. For Avalon, it's ice. A little piece of ice hits the vagus nerve. She calms down. We can talk. It doesn't always work that easily.
I'm like, my granddaughter, I'm thinking.
But you try, like anything, if you look up any of the vagus nerve strengthening exercises, gargling as much as you can strengthens that nerve.
Really?
So that
Does it matter what you gargle?
No.
Okay.
Jack Daniels? Like, what are you thinking?
I wasn't thinking Jack.
Oh, right.
However, now that you mentioned, I think I would choke on that.
Yeah,
but,
no, just
that's
water.
hysterical.
But
that's so interesting. And this is so at Mama's Lullaby, one of the things I really am passionate about, well, several things, but is mental, emotional health. So this is, I feel like we moms really, we need so much support in that area because you are doing so many things all at once. I mean, you can't do them all at once. My husband and I argue about this. You cannot multitask. It's not possible. You can do a lot of things that, in a small span of time, but you can't multitask. And I actually believe that now. It's true. But learning how to deal with your own stuff, it's not about the kid. The kid just like you said, just brings the mirror up to you. But how do we do it? So I really want to help moms have a way to learn for themselves, and they can teach their children, and then their children learn, and then they teach and it just creates a whole new community as the generations go by of dealing and learning. I
really think they refer to this as a revolution, and it's a shift and it's creating a generation of kids who know what their feelings are. So Avalon has this thermometer. It goes from red to white. And each color, it's like, how do you feel when my hands get a little sweaty? I get hot. I feel like someone's choking me. And to identify at this age what she's feeling and what she can do in any one of those situations. For her, if I see her going and getting a piece of ice and popping in her mouth, I know that she is regulating her own nervous system. That's at beautiful. 7.
Amazing.
So, I mean,
boy, we need that.
Listen, there is you are going to feel crazy. You're going to feel angry. But these tools for me helped at the end of the day, get into bed and say, you know what, the things that went right today, great. If I'm operating with a 40% activation rate, I'm patting myself on the back because first and foremost, you're human.
Yeah. And
then you're a mom who's responsible, and at the end, if you can forgive yourself, learn how to have open and, constructive apologies to our children. We were never, apologize to your kid. How are they going to,
Yeah.
Hey,
when you're in the wrong, you
you
absolutely should apologize to your kid. It's just, and children will humble you for sure. I mean, they will humble you, and the older they get, the more humbling it can be. But, okay. Since we're kind of running out of time, but I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours. Isn't this amazing? It's so amazing. So let's talk just quickly. So if someone wanted to learn more about this technique, what would they do? Do you have a website?
Yes. So on Instagram, I am the name of my company is The Mostly Peaceful Parent.
The Mostly Peaceful Parent. I love that.
That's all I can.
It's honest.
To.
It's honest.
Mostly peaceful. There are moments where I'm not, but and my website is also themostlypeacefulparent.com.
Okay.
And what I do most is there's several different things that I can do. I do a coaching one-on-one 12-week curriculum.
Okay.
So in those 12 weeks, it's brain development. The next week it's nervous system regulation. The next week it's learning how you attached to your parents so that you can understand why your child, making a lot of noise in someone else's home is making you go bonkers. Because really at the end of the day, it's not,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, it's the 12-week curriculum changed my life.
Okay.
And then I also give workshops for people's nannies. Because a lot of times, you're away from your kids and you're wondering, I know I have to because I've got to work, but I feel bad. I'm leaving, so helping your nannies who are generally speaking, obviously they range in age, but there are a lot of nannies who are still in that prefrontal cortex part of their own brain.
That is true.
And so just helping them learn not to lose their...
goodness. And it's educating them for when they have children.
Exactly.
Or just in life in general.
Yeah. So
that's so cool.
I have a membership option where, you can just check in with me once a month and then text, because sometimes you just need someone to text back and say, look, it's going to be okay. Try this here,
just some ideas. I can't tell you how many times I had no idea what to do. I just
know. Well, how were we supposed to?
Quick, fast story about not knowing what to do. So I got pregnant really young. I was 17 when I got pregnant, high school, senior year of high school. So when my daughter was 12 and wanting to go to the mall with her friend, coupled by me, just drop her off at the mall. I was like, no, you're not going to go to the mall by yourself. No, nothing good's going to happen at the mall by yourself. And my daughter, Gabby, she's super smart. And she was like, what? What are you saying? And anyway, it got me so flustered that it spun out pretty fast. And at the end of the conversation, it was basically, so you're saying if I go to the mall, I'll get pregnant? That's what you're saying? Because I was like, you go to the mall, there's boys there, you can have sex in all kinds of places in public.
And that's another podcast.
How do I know that? But, it's like, anyway, so then Mark comes home and she's like, Mark, help, and I did need his help because I couldn't regulate myself. I was just like spinning out and I just said stupid things. And that's not exactly what I meant, but kind of, so I could have used that.
Sure. We all can. I don't know one parent. I think that this is a touchy subject because a lot of people think that if they're signing up for, parent coaching, that there's something wrong with them, that they're not able or capable. We should just be able to know. We get coaches for everything. You get a singing coach, you get a dating coach, you get a coach for tennis, everything. But the most important thing on the planet is raising a human. We're just supposed to know what to do.
Well, and even if you read the books, it's like, oh, that's in the perfect scenario that your child does this, and then it's like,
right.
That's not.
And so this is the beauty of this. This is not about the kids. This is about the parent.
Beautiful.
And that's why it applies to boys, girls, neurodivergent ki's.
Love it.
Because
I love it. It's so awesome. Tell us your website one more time.
themostlypeacefulparent.com. Now let's try that again.
Okay, yeah.
www.themostlypeacefulparent.com.
Check it out. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, my friend. It was so awesome. So fabulous. Please check out mamaslullaby.com. I have 17 songs and 2 meditations on there specifically written for you guys to calm, relax, soothe you. We're on all the streaming platforms. The podcast is on every platform you can have a podcast on. We're on YouTube, which is Mama's Lullaby. Sign up for our channel and like us and follow us. You can see the next new shows that are coming out. We have so many great guests, and I am so thrilled to be able to bring these incredible people to you guys. So I hope you enjoyed today's conversation. I hope it helped in some way. And I just bless you, Mama. We love you. We support you. And just have the best day. Enjoy your kids and come back again and see us again. Bye.
Bye.
Touching, feeling.
of my soul, and also with you. If I say a prayer, what else should I do but say beautiful?